What's up, guys? Going to give a couple minutes here for people to get in here. So we can talk about how important, actually, let me choose that better. How important is nutrition? Diet nutrition. So the reason I wanted to do a quick stream on this is because other than people asking me frequently what my workout looks like, and we already went over that the exercise choice, the order of the exercises, the frequency and the volume are kind of the least important parts of your workout or your response to exercise. Again, the most important aspect of your response to exercise is the intensity of effort put forth in the workout, not the exercise, not the cadence, not the machines, not the range of motion, not all these stupid little things that people think make a significant difference, because they don't. We talked about last time, the thing that makes most of the difference, or the most significant difference, is the intensity of effort in the workout. No matter what exercise you do, no matter what cadence you do, no matter what order you choose, those things make virtually no difference. But people tend to spend a lot of time worrying about them because they haven't manifested their dream physique, and they think that one of these little things is the reason why. But the cold, hard truth is that's not the reason why. And you can play with those things all you want, and you're just going to waste your time obsessing over it because it makes no difference. So, just like that topic with exercise, people worrying about little minute details, thinking that they make any difference at all, people do the same thing with nutrition and diet. They think that the reason they haven't manifested their dream physique or achieved the results that they think they should have achieved within a certain amount of time that they determined appropriate, they think that one of these little minute details is the reason why. So they play with all these little details like how much protein, how much carbs, how much fat, where the protein comes from, where the fat comes from, where the carbs come from, meal timing, all that bullshit, thinking that if they get the perfect combination of all these things, then that will give them that men's health, men's fitness cover physique that they've been trying to achieve, usually for years. Now, when I break it down like that, it kind of sounds a little stupid, and it is, because your body is not that mathematical. It works off of general stimuli. And as we know, the most important factor when it comes to how your physique looks is going to be your genetics. Just like the most important factor of how your skin is going to look from exposure to the sun is your genetics. Think about if you were to use 100 different tanning beds and 100 different lotions, tanning for 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, blah, 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 and you spent your whole life trying all these different combinations of these three factors, thinking that once you hit the right tanning bed with the right oil and the perfect amount of exposure to the UV light, then you'll finally get that tan you wanted. If someone were to talk about getting a tan and using, that kind of logic, look at them like they were an idiot, because they are. Because we know how tan you get is based on the amount of melanin in your skin, which is based on your genetics. It's almost the same thing when it comes to exercise and diet. People worrying about the machines and the exercises in order of exercises is like people from Northern Europe who will never get a tan, thinking they're not getting a tan because they're using the wrong tanning bed. You know that's insane. When with exercise and diet, people worrying about volume, cadence, frequency is the same as a Northern Irish person thinking they're not getting tan because they're not in the tanning bed long enough. If you've ever seen a Northern Irish person, they burn within a matter of minutes of exposure to ultraviolet light. Same people with really crappy exercise genetics, they overtrain instantly. So that's the thing. So we're going to apply this logic to diet. And I'm going to explain the things that are important and the things that are not. And you could probably guess it going into this that a lot of the things that people think are important really make almost no difference. So what made me want to talk about this is, again, I get a lot of tons of messages from people with average genetics expecting above average results and not knowing why. The answer is simple: you have average genetics. You're not going to get above average results with average genetics. So what they do is they fuss over their diet. And they ask me when I post a picture. Generally, the only reason I post pictures of my physique, we all know what it looks like, but it tends to get attention, kind of how it is, and I want to drive people to the channel and social media and stuff. So whenever I post a picture, do you do nutrition coaching? Do you recommend this diet approach or that diet approach? Because they look at me and they think that I have some kind of secret. While it is true, I know more about exercise and nutrition than 99.999999999% of people, I do not look the way I do because of my ridiculously extensive knowledge on the subject. I look the way I do because of my genetics, one, and the intensity of effort of which I train at. I did a workout earlier today at about noon. I think I did 7 or 8 exercises, and I almost regretted scheduling this video because I am cooked. I can barely keep my eyes open because of the intensity of effort. So again, they look at my physique and they think, wow, that guy must really have it dialed in. I should ask him what he does because he must know something that I don't. While I do know a lot of things you don't, the reason I look this way is not because of that. The reason I look this way is because of my genetics. And back in the old live streams, I showed you a picture when I was 18 years old, eating McDonald's, drinking beer every day. And I was just basically a 20-pound, about a 25, 30-pound lighter version of what I am. I was about 185 then. Now I'm like 210 to 215. So, when people ask me, what do I eat? They are under the impression that if they mimic or replicate the way I eat, they will get my physique. Think about it this way. If you were to replicate the way a Brazilian tans in the sun, and you are from Northern Ireland, do you think you're going to get their skin tone, and their tan response? No. You're likely going to burn to a damn crisp. Or, like me, for instance, I can spend about 5 to 10 minutes in the sun, and my skin gets dark instantly because of my Sicilian heritage, ethnicity. If you were to tan the way I do, and you're from Northern Ireland, nothing would happen. And you would say, okay, I spend 5 minutes in the sun, you spend 5 minutes in the sun, you come out expecting to look like me, you wouldn't. It comes down to genetics. So when people ask me how I eat, they think that if I tell them the way I eat and they replicate it, they're going to look like me. This is wrong. There are a lot of frauds in the fitness industry who will sell you diet plans, who will sell you meal plans based on the type of physique you want to achieve. and promise you a pipe dream of that if you buy their $29.99 stupid PDF eating guide, you're going to achieve your ultimate physique. That's wrong. That's a lie. That's immoral fraud. Okay? So I'm going to tell you guys like it is. The most important things you need to worry about when it comes to your diet, number one, most people, I would say 8 to 9 out of 10 people, are looking for a more aesthetic physique. A more aesthetic physique is one that has a good body composition in terms of fat tissue to muscle tissue. So most people are going to see the best improvements in terms of aesthetics by reducing their calorie intake. So the most important part for most people is adjusting caloric intake. And for most people, reducing calorie intake. I think it's over 60% of Western culture is overweight and obese or obese. So most people who are on some kind of fitness journey, when it comes to nutrition, the number one thing you should be focused on is reducing calories. Now, if you are a hard gainer, adding calories is not going to be your number one focus. So for someone looking to lose weight, reducing calories, it is not the opposite of that for a hard gainer, adding calories. The idea that a huge calorie surplus is going to result in tons of extra muscle is a lie. It is a myth. It only works for people who have great genetics and enough steroids that would kill a horse. What a hard gainer should focus on has nothing to do with nutrition. It has everything to do with intensity of effort. So sticking with nutrition, for most people, the number one thing people should be focused on is your calorie intake. If you want to improve your body composition, add muscle and reduce fat, eat a calorie-restricted diet. You can add muscle tissue in a calorie deficit. That has been proven through research. Granted, you can add a little more, maybe if I were to ballpark it, 1 to 5% more muscle tissue with a calorie surplus. If you are looking to improve your body composition, it is not worth it because you're going to add fat. So, for almost everybody, number one, reduce your calorie intake. Number two, protein intake. Let's see. I was going to list them, but it's a little late now. Number two, protein intake. Where the protein comes from makes almost no difference. I believe it should come from any kind of animal. Some people say, some idiot on the last live stream said, well, technically plants are living blah, 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 blah organisms, so they would technically be in it. No. Different cellular structure, completely different thing. Get your protein from an animal. Fish, bird, cow, pig, human, just kidding. Dog, just kidding. Anything of bugs, anything that lives and breathes air, or breathes air, eats other animals. Your body is going to respond best to protein from that source. Will your body respond to plant-based protein? Sure. But it does not have the same amino acid or creatine content that an animal does, so it is not as effective. It is not optimal. But if you are a vegan or a vegetarian, which we all know I do not recommend, I think it's really dumb, but if you are that, you can still build muscle tissue getting protein from vegetarian sources, but your response is going to be better getting them from animal sources based on our evolution and our genetic makeup. We are omnivores. Number one of importance when it comes to nutrition, again, calorie intake, calorie restriction. Number two, protein intake. as protein sources. When it comes to the amount of protein you want to be consuming, research suggests about a half a gram to 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass. So say, for instance, you are a 200-pound male and you have 20% body fat. Anywhere from 80 grams to 160 grams of protein per day is adequate. Now, don't get anxious thinking that if you do not hit your protein requirement one day, the world's going to come to an end, because it's not. But try to hit your protein requirement 80% of the time. Obviously, if you can hit it 100% of the time, you're going to see a little better results. But again, your body is not mathematical. And it's not going to say, oh, you were 20 grams protein less today, so we're going to make you lose muscle. No, it's not how your body works. People get really obsessed with this. Just most of the time, hit your calorie requirement. I mean, if your calorie requirement is between 80 and 160 grams of protein a day, and you hit 120, you're fine. And if you're hitting that extra 40, you're not going to morph into Arnold Schwarzenegger by hitting that extra 40. It makes a difference, but not a difference to where you're going to really notice it. So for the most part, when it comes to nutrition, those are the two most important things. The amount of fat you're eating, the amount of carbs you're eating, according to the research, doesn't really seem to make a difference. Obviously, everybody responds a little bit differently due to insulin sensitivity when it comes to carbohydrates and eating fat, but the calories and the protein are going to be the most important things when it comes to nutrition. Where your food comes from is also pretty important. If you're getting, if you're eating 2,000 calories a day, and 4 protein shakes and the rest of your calories are cupcakes, your body's not going to respond well to that. Technically, you hit your calorie intake, your protein requirement, but your body's going to respond much better to foods that occur naturally in the environment. So as long as you are cooking your own food and not eating things that come in wrappers, besides, chicken, if your broccoli is wrapped in plastic, whatever, you know what I mean. Processed foods. If you're avoiding those things and cooking your own food, your body's going to respond optimally to that. So, in one thing, especially our culture and the fitness industry seems to be obsessed with now is like meal supplementation, protein bars, and shakes, and Herbalife bullshit. Don't do Herbalife; it's an absolute scam. These meal supplements or these meal replacements, your body's not, although the label appears attractive, it appears healthy, your body's not going to respond the same to those as it is from food naturally in the environment. What does Doug McGuff say? He says, try to maintain a straight line between you and the sun. I think that's what he says. So basically, the way that my way of saying it is eat what you would find in the woods. That's because, our genome evolved in the woods, and what was available in the woods. Eat close to that. Animal proteins, some fruits, some vegetables. If you like carbs, they're fine too, just within reason. And another thing, that this, when I would have clients, we're going to talk about fruit for a second. When I had clients come in and pretty much lie to me about their eating habits, which people do, especially if you're a trainer and you say, oh, so what's your diet look like? Very few will say that, to be honest. Most will be like, I eat lots of fruit. I drink only water. They'll say that kind of stuff. Believing that, just putting fruit in your body is somehow healthy. Yeah, it has, vitamins and minerals and all that stuff. Some fiber. But, just adding fruit to your diet doesn't have a significant health benefit. I don't know where people believed it did. Very sugar dense, very carb dense, and a lot of times very calorie dense. Fruit is okay, but don't be under this misconception that just throwing fruit into your diet somehow makes you a superhuman or makes you healthy in any by any stretch of the imagination. It doesn't. Fruit is just, it's another food. Sure, it's fine for you, but you don't need it in your diet. Vegetables, yeah, you're going to want to throw some green, leafy, cruciferous vegetables into your diet, especially in men. There's been research that shows that it reduces the chance of colon and prostate cancer. So if you're a man, throw vegetables into there, but fruit, not so much a big deal. So just to recap the importance of everything in nutrition, first of all, if you haven't morphed into your dream physique and you've tried every sort of nutrition approach there is, the truth is you're not going to get your dream physique. Just like the Northern Irish person isn't going to look like a Brazilian after laying in the sun. Sorry, that's just the way it is. But if you're new on this journey, if you reduce your calories and lower your body fat percentage, you're going to look 1,000 times better. Are you going to be ripped and shredded and yoked? Probably not. But you're going to look 1,000,000 times better. So number one, in terms of importance, calorie intake, generally calorie restriction. Even if you're a hard gainer, stay away from calorie surplus. It's stupid. Number two, protein intake. Make sure you're getting most of your protein from animals, and you're going to want about 0.5 gram to 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass. So you want to find out what your body composition is, your body fat percentage, and then subtract from your overall weight to find your lean body mass, multiply by 0.5 or by 1, and there you go. So diet's actually very simple. Nutrition is very simple. Supplements are not needed, despite what the fraudulent fitness industry tells you. And focus on the big things. Focus on calorie intake and focus on protein intake. And stop wasting your time worrying about all these little things and believing that they're the reason that you have not achieved your dream physique. Because probably the reason you haven't achieved the physique you want is because your calories are too high. And also because you're not eating enough protein. So I'm going to look at some questions here. No, obviously water intake. Right? Drink water. Again, drinking tons of water a day doesn't make you healthy. It doesn't make you lose weight. All right, let's see. Is it possible to do HIIT by myself to get the right stimulus with a partner? Yeah, of course it's possible. But many people who start out on this think they know what failure feels like, but they don't. So if it is possible, you want to find a good HIIT instructor and have them take you through a handful of workouts if you want to be doing this on your own. You want to have them take you through a handful of workouts so they can show you what to aim for. Because your version of muscle failure and your version of intensity is almost certainly significantly lower than what a true high-intensity workout should be. So if you can find a trainer in your area that instructs using this method, hire them. You're going to be better off staying with them because they're going to be able to apply a better stimulus. It's kind of like, think about it this way. Can you cut your own hair? Of course you can. You can stand in the mirror and cut your own hair. But why do you go to a barber or a hairstylist? Because they do a better job. Okay? Same thing when it comes to a trainer. You go to a trainer because you want the best possible result. Go to a barber or hairstylist because you want the best possible result. So it is going to be less effective on your own because, again, you're likely not an experienced HIIT instructor and you don't really know what you're doing. You're just kind of winging it. So you have the option, hire an instructor. If you can't afford it, hire an instructor for some time just so you can learn how far to push yourself. Someone has to show you, generally. How do you recognize your genetic limit? Time. Assuming you are training with enough intensity, within about a year, you will have reached your genetic limit. Assuming you're training with the right amount of intensity. Sometimes even 6 months. So, regardless of volume, frequency, exercise choice, whatever, even if all of those things are completely screwed up, in about a year, maybe a year and a half at the longest, even if your volume and your frequency are not right, you're probably going to reach your genetic limitation. Happens pretty quickly. You'll know. It's not like, I know I'm not trying to ruin people's hope, but it's not like you've been training for 2 years and, finally you learn how to dial in your frequency and volume, and then you reach your genetic limit. It's kind of going to happen either way. But you'd have to really be overtraining in order to prevent your genetic limit, even training how everyone else trains. But assuming you are doing it correctly, and you've been training for a while, you're probably there. Because remember, the human body, you guys, this is really important. I need to get this through to you, that the human body is not supposed to carry a lot of muscle. It is an endurance organism. Look at an indigenous African tribe. Look at how the men look. Very thin. Body composition is probably around 9 to 11% body fat. Pretty thin. Nice muscle shape. None of them are muscular because that extra muscle tissue is a hindrance on your survival. It's a hindrance on your ability to hunt and gather. More muscle tissue is gonna reduce your endurance. So, traditionally the human organism, we tracked animals. We weren't the fastest, weren't the strongest. We had the most endurance. We would track an animal for hours until it could no longer evade us. We would out-endure the animal. That's how we hunted. We are one of the most energy efficient organisms on the planet. That's how we survive. And more muscle tissue reduces energy efficiency. So the human body is not designed to hold a lot of it. If you're, most supramuscular people are more or less genetic mutations. You got to figure that 7 billion people on this planet, there's going to be a huge sample size of people with almost genetic mutations getting large muscles. And the reason it seems like there are a lot of them is because there's a lot of people. And the people with the genetic mutations getting huge muscles survive because we live in a developed world, and then they pass those genes on, If it weren't for technological advances in the lifestyle we live in, there wouldn't be any supramuscular people. They would have died out. So the only reason you see so many is because our environment and our world now allows us to pass on those genetics, when in the past, those genetics wouldn't have made it in a food scarce environment. So the human body is not supposed to be supramuscular. So you could kick yourself for years and years and years and dream of getting supramuscular, but you got to remember, it is completely normal not to be. Just the fitness industry made everybody who isn't supramuscular feel insecure, so that way they can take your money. All right. I eat pasta. Is that good? Not really. No. If you're looking for the best body composition, no. I think just like, how many ounces of pasta? Pasta is super calorie dense. I'm gonna look this up really quick. Pasta is not. If you're looking for optimal body composition, you want to keep pasta consumption to a minimum. I'm Italian American, and everybody in my extended family is pretty much fat because they eat tons of pasta. Italian Americans are all fat because that's the staple of diet. We ate pasta every single Sunday. There was pasta in the house always. And I eat no pasta now, mostly because I'm so damn sick of it. I don't need to eat pasta ever again. Let's see. Calories, pasta. I mean, in just 100 grams of pasta, there's 131 calories. If you're looking for optimal body composition, pasta should not be a part of your regular diet. Maybe a cheat meal or a treat here or there, but no. I wouldn't. Menser 1951. Go back to about 20 minutes in the live stream afterward. But as a general rule of thumb, about 0.5 grams to 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass. That is the body mass with your fat mass taken out. So, for instance, a 200-pound male with 20% body fat will need anywhere from 80 to 160 grams of protein a day for optimal protein intake. I've been doing HIIT for 2 months now, no results. Why? Because you're expecting a drastic change based on the lies and bullshit that you've been fed through the media. You think there's going to be this huge transformation in just a matter of 8 weeks. No, it doesn't work like that. You've seen results. You've probably seen drastic improvements in strength, but not so much improvements in body composition. One, it hasn't been long enough because your assumption on how quickly your body should change is skewed by bullshit in the fitness industry. And number two, you just said you're eating pasta. You're not going to see results in body composition eating pasta, okay? So the reason you're not seeing results has nothing to do with your HIIT program. It has to do with your crappy diet and that you have not allowed even nearly, not even close to enough time for a significant change. To see a significant change in body composition, it would take 6 months to a year. You give it 2. Where would I get accurate info about my body composition? A DEXA scan is going to probably be one of the most accurate ways. Or you can use just a bioimpedance scale. Those scales with the metal plates on it, or a bioimpedance body composition measure. That'll give you a general idea. You don't need it to be perfectly accurate. Again, none of this is so mathematical. With ballpark estimates, you're fine. I mean, you can be 5% off with your body composition measurement and eat 5% less protein or 5% more protein. It's not going to make a difference. Your body's not mathematical like that. Pound progression is the greatest proof of progress, even over intensity. Well, intensity is not a proof of progress, and I don't know what pound progression is, so I'm not sure if I can answer that. What about grains? Grains are fine. Just stay within your caloric limit, and whole grains are going to be better. So, you know, if you're eating in a calorie restricted diet, you can put grains in there, but first get your adequate protein intake, and then the grains. Don't use what this sounds so bad. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Someone just said that microphone would be better. Like, oh shit. That's why. God damn it. Sorry guys. This it was not switched to this. So I apologize for the sound problem earlier. I don't know why it didn't. Damn. Well, okay. Well, the sound should be better now. I don't know why it just doesn't automatically connect this. Yeah, grains are fine. Just again, all comes down to calories. Whole grains are probably a little better, but it doesn't really make a huge difference. Okay. Where are the decent physiques built exclusively from the general public? All right, this question gets asked a lot. Generally, the people who find these training principles are people who generally do not respond good to training when they first start. They are people who have tried all kinds of different approaches, all kinds of different protocols, and they eventually stumble upon this and try this. People who have favorable genetics when it comes to bodybuilding don't end up finding high-intensity training principles because they don't need them. Anything they do works because of their genetic predispositions. So that's why you're not going to see a whole lot of impressive physiques using these principles, because impressive physiques have genetics which allow them to do whatever the hell they want and achieve an impressive physique, because that's how important genetics are. You'll notice all these people with impressive physiques do completely different training approaches. Some are power lifters, some do Olympic lifts, some do CrossFit, some do bodybuilding, some do this, some do that, some do free weights, some do machines. And that's because how they train makes no difference. It's their genetics. So that's why you're not going to see a bunch of great physiques using high intensity training principles, but a few of them are going to be Casey Viator, Mike Menser, Dorian Yates, who won the Mr. Olympia 6 times. He was one of the biggest bodybuilders of all time. Boyer Coe. Let's see, who else? Ray Menser. There were a pretty decent handful of bodybuilders back in the past. But again, the reason people don't use these principles is because the people who develop good physiques do not develop them because of their training style. They develop them because of their genetics. Does that make sense? Guys, if you have questions that are related more to like coaching, just hire me as your coach, because I get a lot of these same questions all the time. Like, you're doing like this split, that split, these exercises. What's going to be the outcome? I don't know. All right. One question is less weight okay for better muscle feeling if it goes to failure? I don't really know what that means, but it doesn't matter what weight you use as long as you go to failure. There's research done out in the UK that showed that to be true. Cool. All right. Any more questions? I got a couple more minutes here. All right. Well, I guess I'll answer this. I answer these questions so often. You guys, if you're watching the live streams, you should know the answers to these questions. You know, the one of the live streams was I explained how exactly what this question is asking. These small, minute details don't make a difference. If you switch to an upper lower split 3 days a week, will you lose muscle? Hell no. Why would you ever think that you would lose muscle? Why would you lose muscle? Doesn't make any sense. Again, the intensity of effort is the stimulus, not frequency, not volume. So these things that people worry about don't make a difference. That was my point. Let's see. Ab exercises. I would say maybe like, I've been doing them more frequently, but maybe once a week I'll just do a crunch machine. The gym I go to now has, as you would expect, 10 of them. So
Any ab crunch machine is fine. This one I kind of like. It's a hoist, so it kind of flexes the hips and the torso at the same time. So your hip flexors bring you up, and your abs bring you down, and it's very smooth. So that's the reason I use it. I just do one set to failure at the very end of the workout, and that's it. Why did I start doing them? I don't know. Felt like it. Again, none of this is that mathematical. If you feel like throwing an exercise in, throw it in. Don't get the impression that adding an exercise or removing an exercise is going to make you lose muscle or see poor results. This is not mathematical. It's an overall stimulus type of thing. I got another couple minutes here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them. I also don't. Most people should be doing a lower back exercise too if you're not doing a squat. So just any kind of lumbar extension. But if you're doing a squat, even with moderate load, the lower back muscles are loaded pretty well. So you don't really need to do a lumbar extension for that. All right, what should you do if you have a muscle group that responds, grows faster, resulting in an asymmetrical physique? Most people will have a muscle group that responds more quickly. I knew a guy in college who his arms grew like instantly, and his chest and back did pretty much nothing. So he had some good arms, but the rest of his physique looked kind of imbalanced. Train those muscle groups less. Just so if you're maybe hitting every major muscle group twice a week, hit the ones that are growing more quickly just once a week. That's it. Just hit them less frequently. It will help balance out your physique, but that doesn't necessarily mean it will be perfectly balanced and perfectly symmetrical to the way you want it. It'll help, but how much it'll help, who knows? You may just be the guy. Like there are guys out there, with these great upper bodies and these lower legs, calf area that look like toothpicks, and they could train the hell out of them. And then there are some guys with gigantic calves that don't even train them. So just train it less frequently. All right. See, this is another one of those questions. This is another one of those minute detail questions. This is what I'm talking about. This is what this whole live stream was about. These things don't make a difference. What is the optimal calorie surplus while doing HIIT? There is no optimal surplus. There is no optimal deficit. Your body is not mathematical. Your body doesn't know what 600 and 500 calories is. It doesn't know what 550 calories is. It's not mathematical. There is no optimal. It is an overall general stimulus. So these are the kinds of questions I get a lot. People think that the body is so mathematical that there's an optimal number that they should be following. Your body doesn't know what the hell a number is. Okay? We developed units of measurement for this stuff. Your body didn't evolve with units of measurement built into it. We evolved units of measurement. So there is no optimal calorie surplus when doing HIIT to gain muscle. As I said earlier in the live stream, you shouldn't be doing a calorie surplus. You're likely just going to get pounds of fat compared to ounces of muscle. And then when you go to reduce the amount of fat you gain from your stupid calorie surplus, you're going to lose whatever ounces of muscle you built anyway. Pointless. So no optimal calorie surplus. Go back earlier in the live stream. And that's pretty much what this whole live stream is addressed at. Ignore these little minute details like 400 calories versus 600 calories. Like, really, guys? Like, people really think that would make a difference? Like, it blows my mind. Barbell squat to muscle failure if you don't have access to conventional gym. Yeah, I do a barbell squat to failure instead of a leg press. I just prefer them. What you got to do is you got to put those bar catches, which if you're in a squat rack, it should have the, I believe they're called bar catches that you can adjust the height of. So if you were to drop the bar, it'll land on the bar catches so you don't die. Adjust those to an adequate height to where if you get stuck with your upper leg just below parallel. So you want to get in this position and then set the bar catches there. So if you come down and can't get up, you just sit it and then crawl under. Perfectly fine doing that. Might be a little more dangerous, but not if you are, don't use a weight that is extremely heavy. And also just make sure the bar catches are in place. You don't even need a spotter for that. I do it all the time. It'll make people in the gym who are stupid and don't know any better think that something is wrong, but no. You have everything set up and you can reach failure with a conventional barbell squat. I have been doing mostly squats for a long time. I'll throw a leg press in there, but I just like squats better. And again, it's because genetically, for one reason or another, I can squat a ton of weight, so it feels good to do them. And that's kind of what I do. All right, guys, it looks like that's all of the questions here. I hope this live stream helped. Again, just to recap everything, stop worrying about the tiny little details when it comes to exercise. Stop worrying about what machine you use, whether you use machines or barbells. That was actually another small detail question. Order of exercises, rep range, cadence, those things make no difference. No difference on the diet side. High carb or low carb, high fat, low fat, supplements. Should I get 150 grams of protein or 140 grams of protein? Should I do a 400 calorie deficit, a 300 calorie deficit? Stop worrying about these little things. They're not going to make any noticeable difference. All you need to worry about is the big picture. The fact that you're in a calorie deficit. The fact that you are training to failure. All the other little things, they make absolutely no difference. Is there a lower limit of time under tension despite going to failure? Yes. You need to have enough time under load to develop a metabolic stimulus. So I wouldn't recommend anything under really 45 seconds because the metabolic stress is also a stimulus. So if you were to do, a 15-second set to failure, you haven't really developed deep metabolic stress. Obviously, your body's going to respond to anything to some degree, but it would not be optimal so you want it between 45 and 120 seconds, I would say. Anything over 120 seconds is just way too long. Anything under 45 seconds is a little too short. So that actually does make some of a difference. Plus, anything under 45 seconds would be so heavy that would be kind of rough on your joints. And if you have joint issues, going a little longer with the time under load is a good idea. All right, guys, any other topics you'd like me to discuss, please put them in the comments here. I'll read them, do a video on them, do a live stream. Today is, Thursday? Early next week, we'll have another topic to discuss. And if you have any topics that you're curious about, again, leave them in the comments. Follow me on Instagram, J__Vincent. That's 2 Instagrams. And if you're not already subscribe. And if you guys could share these videos, that would help too. Trying to grow the channel so that way people stop wasting their time with absolute nonsense and actually start seeing results. So until next week, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for joining and take care.